1607, the Virginia Company sent 150 colonists aboard 3 ships to North America. Jamestown was the first permanent English settlement in America. They struggled to survive until the cash crop tobacco was introduced to the colony. That was the point where slavery started. In 1619, the first Africans came to Jamestown and worked as indentured servants in the tobacco fields. Jamestown was a royal colony since the king took over the colony from the Virginia Company. An important person for Jamestown was John Smith. He demanded practical laborers and craftsmen who could help make the colony more self-sufficient. You could say that John Smith changed the minds and people's work attitude to help the colony survive on their own.
Bacon's Rebellion was a revolt of previous indentured servants against the Native Americans and soon the government. It all started in 1676 when Nathaniel Bacon led a revolt against the Native Americans for land. Since they were servants, they had nowhere to or no one to go to after their contract of service expired. So they headed first east. They started a fight against the natives. They weren't making much progress, so they headed the opposite direction, west. Here they were fighting against more powerful people, the government. The indentured servants were heading for the governor, William Berkeley. Years ago, and the city of Jamestown has been burned to the ground, as well as Bacon's becoming very ill and passing away. The rebellion fighters simmered down since and there were not much they could do without the leader, and the government then comes to their senses and makes changes regarding the indentured servitude. The government's idea for a solution of slavery sounds about the same, but it was way worse. Slavery was a dreadful time in American history and led to many future problems regarding racism. The slaves were shipped from Africa through the Middle Passage and sent over to America. Slaves did not stand for this. Consequences of leaving your plantation, going against your master's rules were very harsh, but a strong, brave Anagolian named Jeremy was fed up, so him plus 20 slaves stormed areas with firearms and called it for their liberty. They did get some of the things they wanted out of it, but then again, did not. Masters became penalized for excessive work and brutal punishments, but then the Security Act was set in place. The Security Act stated that white men can bring firearms to church. This was because of the slaves brought firearms when they came in and stormed into church. The triangular trade route supplied the use of slavery. It was a trade between Europe, Africa, and America. Europeans filled their colonies with African slaves and shipped them to America, when goods, such as tobacco, were shipped to Europe. The most well-known triangular trading system is the transatlantic slave trade. During the 16th century to the early 19th century, they used African slaves to grow cash crops and make them work. Many slaves died on the ships due to diseases and overcrowding. There were many issues and conflicts between the Europeans and the Native Americans. The colonists had a negative impact on the natives and they had a really bad relationship. The Europeans took advantage of them. They sold them into slavery, took their power, and took away their land with their ability to have them be able to work for themselves. A lot of natives were killed and others died due to diseases that the Europeans brought over. The Incommuta system is an example of the bad treatment that the natives got.